This has been a long journey from BET to back here with this possibility that I want to talk to you about. But it's a pleasure for me to be here to see some of the faces that I grew up with in the media business. Of course, Chairman Wiley, Fritz Attaway, somewhere, Art Harding, who worked with me at the NCTA. It's a little bit like coming home to argue in support of things you opposed when I was at the NCTA, and to join hands with the broadcasters, whom I hated when I was at the NCTA, and to appeal to the FCC, which we always thought meddled in our business more than they should have, and protected the broadcasters from cable. So it's a little bit of going and coming all at the same time. But that's what I find exciting. When I sold BET to Viacom, which was really at the top of the market, sort of the time to get out, it was something I said, I enjoyed that 25 years of being in one of the most dynamic growth industries that I've ever experienced in the cable business. It was a chance to be with the right people at the right time, people who are household names to all of you, everybody from John Malone to Ralph Baruch to Ted Turner, of course, and Jerry Levin, people who all made cable what it is today, and I was proud to be a part of that group. And so it's sort of exciting to think about the possibility of going on another venture like that with what Brandon Burgess is proposing. Let me just sort of give you a little bit of a scope of what I do now and sort of put this in context and how I got into this. After I left BET, I said, what are the kinds of things that I wanted to do? And I wanted to do things that I knew, that I sort of learned that when I got in the cable business, and that is having a vision of where there's an opportunity, and also identifying talented people, like the talented people who are now running BET. Deborah Lee, who is the CEO, is doing an outstanding job in making that company a legacy for myself as well as a great asset for Viacom. And she'll continue to do a much better job than I did in running a company. And so you look for people with vision, people with talented people who can work with you. And you try to find strategic partners who share your value system and what you're trying to achieve, particularly strategic partners who want to work with minority companies where they can bring added value to that minority company's goal. And I like to say this about John Malone, and if I were going to give anybody credit for the success of BET, perhaps even more so than myself, it would have to be John Malone, because what John Malone did in the 20 years that he was involved with me at BET, not only did he put the first dollars into BET, which were critical, but he stayed on the board and involved in the company as a mentor and as a personal friend for over 20 years. And when I would go out with BET to get cable companies to carry the program, the fledgling programming, 2 hours a day on satellite or something like that, very little programming to speak of. And the first question people would ask me is, who's in the deal with you, Bob? And I'd say John Malone. And you can almost hear that Good Housekeeping seal of Malone's name coming down on the conversation. And that conversation opened up more doors to me and to BET than anything I ever could have done during that early developing stage of cable as a diversity product, as an urban market product, as a niche product. And so when I think about how that happens, it points to me the fact that if you were to go back and probably look at the landscape of successful businesses in the sort of the, from the 90s on, many of them have been started, have been launched with the support of major strategic partners who have come together to support this business. And I think that's the model that if we're talking about diversity of ownership or diversity of opportunity in any industry, if more industries had their version of John Malone, there would be more successful African-American business people across the spectrum of U.S. businesses. And I fundamentally believe that. Was to create this democratized opportunity of people to come with some compelling shows. And I can assure you that some of those shows in this network could be a version of what New Haven is in the theater to Broadway. We will find some programmer or some concept that all of a sudden the networks will see it, or another group of stations will see it, or syndicators will see it, and off they'll go and do something on another station. Our role would be to provide the distribution platform, the technological interface, and the ability for them to represent to their sponsors or their advertisers that they fulfilled whatever relationship. Unique opportunity for sponsored tie-in. Unique opportunity for tie-ins with foundations and social groups. Unique opportunity for colleges and universities. And it can also be at the local level. Keep in mind, when we're talking about these stations, we're not talking about a network. These are obligations at the local level. We would have to program these stations as local stations as well as interconnected stations. So if you think about it this way, if the FCC were to approve this, and we've been struggling, and Dick Wiley can tell you, we've been struggling through every kind of public policy initiative you can imagine to get more minority ownership of TV stations. We had the tax certificates, we had the minority set aside, we had all kinds of things. Some of them ran into constitutional issues and so on. But by a stroke of a pen, literally, the FCC, if 40 individual TV owners wanted to partner with a diversity group, you would have that much diversity overnight. And it's not complicated. And as it would not alter the bandwidth capacity, the allocated bandwidth capacity of our nation's cable systems and the operators. It would not, in my opinion, be an unauthorized taking. It would not be, in my opinion, a detriment to TV One, to BET, to C-SPAN, or any of the other fine channels that exist on cable today. It would simply be an awakening of more diversity, more minority ownership, and more opportunity for people who will never get that chance. And so my compelling argument is, unless someone can show me how joining together with ION TV to ask the commission, to ask the cable operators to carry a shared digital signal that would put on a diversity of program, be operated under diversified ownership, is a detriment to either their own economic interests and the public interest, which I certainly can't see. I can't come up with a compelling argument why not. To me, once you create this technology, the whole idea of technology, of digital technology, was to create more spectrum, to get the highest and best use of spectrum allocation. And once you do that, then to put it under in a bottleneck situation where you've got it, and say, I'm sorry, it can't be used for diversity, which is then why create it? Why allow the technological genie out of the bottle? And I don't have a rational answer for that. I know someone suggested, gee, Bob, and as I said earlier, why don't go from us, just go cable by cable by cable. I'll do that. I mean, I know I have no problem with that. I know how they ask for the order. The issue is, though, if the cable operators don't respond, then there must be a government action, because to me the fundamental role of media in a diversified democracy like this is to ensure the broadest access of voices can be heard and the greatest opportunity for ownership to be had. And this platform, as we propose it, will do exactly that. Thank you very much.